The Yukon is alive again with the roar of heavy machinery and the unmistakable rush of gold fever. Gold Rush returned for its monumental 16th season on Discovery Channel, and from the very first scenes of the 2-hour premiere, records will be broken. It was clear that the stakes have never been higher. With gold prices soaring to around $3,500 an ounce, Parker Schnabel, Tony Beets, Rick Ness, and Kevin Beets are chasing the biggest paydays of their lives, and they're willing to risk everything to do it. Parker Schnabel, still only 31 but already one of the Yukon's most seasoned miners, started the season with a calm determination and a bold plan. His focus this year was squarely on Dominion Creek, a massive claim that had cost him millions to develop. He invested heavily in 4 wash plants, hoping the expansion would make up for last season's disappointing results and finally push his total gold take to record-breaking levels. The episode opened with a rare moment of civility between Parker and Tony Beets. The two have spent years at odds, competing fiercely for land, equipment, and glory. But this season, their first meeting was surprisingly cordial, a mutual acknowledgement that both had big goals ahead. Parker seemed intent on leaving old rivalries behind, but in the world of Gold Rush, truces rarely last. Before the real mining began, Parker sat down with his trusted foremen, Mitch Blaschke and Tyson Lee, to outline the season's strategy. He made it clear that this would be one of their most demanding years yet. Mitch was assigned to Sulphur Creek, where the team only had a 10-week window under their water license, while Tyson would oversee the massive Dominion operation. Between both sites, Parker calculated that a successful season could bring in more than $35 million in gold. But Dominion Creek didn't give up its riches easily. When Tyson's team arrived on site, they discovered that the pay layer was buried beneath nearly 3 feet of solid ice, the result of a harsh Yukon winter. To make matters worse, the pre-wash conveyor system broke down right as the crew was preparing to start sluicing. Mechanics worked day and night to get it running again, and every lost hour meant money slipping away. Meanwhile, Mitch was struggling to stay on pace at Sulphur Creek until Parker made one of the most surprising moves of the episode. In a strategic play, he recruited Brennan Rualt away from Kevin Beets' crew. Brennan, who had once walked out on Parker after a heated fallout several years earlier, had been working under Kevin and seemed to have settled in. But Parker's offer brought him back into the fold, leaving Kevin and his partner Faith Tang blindsided by the sudden defection. Back at Parker's camp, the reunion was met with cautious optimism. While Mitch was thrilled to have Brennan's experience back on the team, not everyone was sure if old wounds had truly healed. The pressure quickly mounted when Mitch and Parker disagreed on how to approach the flooded ground at Sulphur. Mitch wanted to take time to dig drainage ditches first, but Parker pushed for immediate progress. The tension between the two reminded everyone that Parker's drive to succeed can sometimes come at the cost of patience. Despite the rocky start, the crew finally managed to drain the flooded cut and uncover promising pay dirt. The first cleanup of the season brought in 125.80 ounces of gold, worth more than $440,000. It was a strong beginning, but Parker kept his expectations grounded. He knew the road to 10,000 ounces would be long and grueling. While Parker's operation was just getting going, Tony Beets and his family were already weeks ahead. At Indian River, Tony's team had been sluicing for 2 weeks and had already banked 417.56 ounces, worth roughly $1.5 million. The veteran miner was determined to turn that momentum into his best season yet, setting a target of 6,500 ounces, a staggering $22 million in gold. Tony's empire is a true family affair. His son Mike Beets took the lead at Paradise Hill, while Monica Beets oversaw the gold room, ensuring every ounce recovered made it to the scale. But even the most experienced crews faced danger in the unforgiving Yukon, and this episode delivered one of the most frightening incidents in recent memory. While navigating steep terrain, one of Mike's operators, Graham, lost control of a brand new $750,000 haul truck, sending it tumbling onto its side near the edge of a 200-foot cliff. The entire crew rushed to the scene, working quickly to break the window and pull Graham out before the truck slid further. Using an excavator for stability, they managed to get him to safety, shaken, but miraculously uninjured. Rather than reacting with anger, Tony made a rare decision to show understanding, reminding his crew that mistakes can happen to anyone. Mike, however, now had one less truck and a mountain of work ahead. Still, the setback didn't stop the Beets family from getting back on track. By the end of the episode, Mike had stripped new ground, hit pay dirt, and set Paradise Hill up for steady gold production in the coming weeks. While Tony's operation ran smoothly, his son Kevin Beets faced a much tougher path. After taking his first steps toward independence last season, Kevin was back at Scribner Creek for his second year as a mine boss. Having invested his life savings into the venture, he hoped to double his gold output from last year and finally prove he could thrive without leaning on his father's shadow. That plan hit a snag when Brennan Rualt, one of his most skilled operators, left for Parker's camp. The loss hit both Kevin and Faith Tongue hard, especially given the timing. Still, Kevin managed to stay composed, determined not to let one setback define his season. Tony and Minnie Beets stopped by Scribner Creek to check on progress. As the landowners, they were entitled to a 10% cut of Kevin's gold, but as parents, they were more focused on whether he could truly stand on his own. Kevin's first cleanup brought in 57.04 ounces of gold, worth about $200,000, a solid start that benefited from the skyrocketing gold market. But Kevin's biggest challenge wasn't under the ground, it was with paperwork. His Duncan Creek claim, which potentially held over $1 million in gold, remained untouched because his water license had yet to be approved. Without it, all he could do was wait, watching opportunities slip away with each passing week. For Rick Ness, this season began with more questions than answers. After a turbulent comeback last year, he was under immense pressure to find new ground and rebuild his operation. But the odds were already stacked against him. His best claim, Duncan Creek, was tied up in the same water license delays that plagued Kevin Beets. Out of options, Rick turned to an old contact, Troy Taylor, his former landlord and the man who sold him the Duncan claim in the first place. Hoping to make amends for the license mess, Troy offered Rick the chance to mine a nearby property called Lightning Creek. Rick agreed to test the ground but approached the offer with deep skepticism. After running a small test sample, his fears were confirmed. The gold content was barely half of what he needed to make the claim profitable. The disappointment was obvious. Rick knew he couldn't afford another wasted season. Later, Rick joined Parker and Tony in Dawson City for a rare night out. Over drinks, the three miners traded stories, shared frustrations, and compared plans for the season. The conversation gave Rick a new perspective, and by the end of the night, he decided to give Lightning Creek one more chance, a small glimmer of hope in an otherwise uphill battle. Summarizing after the first episode, the mine owners got their first gold of the season, setting the tone for a competitive start to Gold Rush Season 16. Parker Schnabel's crew kicked things off with a strong run at Dominion Creek, hauling in about 126 ounces of gold, worth roughly $440,000. It's a solid start, but far below the 10,000-ounce target Parker set for himself this year. Tony Beets dominated early, proving why he's still the king of the Klondike. His family crew mined an impressive 417 ounces, valued at around $1.5 million. Despite a serious equipment mishap at Paradise Hill, Tony's operation remained the most productive so far. Kevin Beets' second season as a mine boss began more modestly. At Scribner Creek, he managed to produce about 57 ounces, worth just over $200,000. It's a decent start, but Kevin is still waiting for approval to open his more promising Duncan Creek ground. Meanwhile, Rick Ness ended the episode empty-handed. His test run at Lightning Creek showed disappointing results, leaving him with no gold recovered and plenty of pressure to turn things around in the coming weeks. Altogether, the miners pulled in around 600 ounces of gold, worth a little over $2 million, a promising start, but the race for glory has only just begun. The premiere episode of Gold Rush Season 16 delivered everything longtime fans love: massive machinery, near disasters, high-stakes decisions, and the unshakable determination that defines the miners of the Klondike. Parker's empire is growing faster than ever, but his leadership will be tested by strained relationships and mechanical setbacks. Tony Beets, as always, is leading by sheer willpower and experience, showing that no amount of chaos can slow the Beets family down. Kevin continues to prove he's more than just the son of the king of the Klondike, while Rick Ness remains the scrappy underdog, fighting for one last shot at redemption. With record-high gold prices and renewed determination across every crew, Gold Rush Season 16 has set the stage for one of the most dramatic and lucrative seasons yet. Whether alliances will hold or rivalries will flare up again, one thing is certain: in the Yukon, fortune always favors the bold, and this year, records truly will be broken.